Hi, everyone. Welcome to In Our Indie Era, where we talk about all things indie authoring and indie publishing. I'm Megan Michelle, author of the award-winning The Seal Saga series, consisting of Skylark and Born in Blood. And I'm here today with my business bestie, other Megan. Go ahead and say hi.
Hey everyone, this is Megan Medlock. I am your wealth embodiment and energy coach, and I we are joined today. This is our first guest episode. We are
Yes.
joined today by Jacquelyn George, of representing Bookstagram. Um, and we first met Jacquelyn on a yoga retreat in Scotland last year, and the rest
Yes.
is history. So, Jacqueline, why don't you give your introduction to the audience?
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here and I'm excited to be your guys' first guest and everything. So I'm Jacquelyn George. I am a somewhat bookstagrammer. My full-time job is I work in museums in the collections department. I love sharing my love of reading.
And your book
Amazing.
collection behind you is gorgeous. And I also just realized that both of you have books in your background, and I, the author, I do own books. They're just not visible.
Yes. We all have different areas in our house.
They're stacked on
Yes.
every surface of my house.
Mhm.
Actually, I'm using them. I'm using a stack of books to have my laptop at a height so that my face looks normal on camera, you know?
Me too.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
not.
multi-use.
I have a monitor stand
Okay.
from one of my old jobs that they never
Yeah,
asked for
te
back. Yeah.
techie friend, you have the correct tools. All right, we know. We know. This is
We
always
make
the
do with what
case.
we
I
have.
Mhm.
I make do, Jacqueline makes do, and then Megan is always like, there's a thing for that. Like every time I say, "Oh, I just did this the hardest way possible." She says, there's a tool for that." And that sends me a link to something on Amazon.
I might spend too much time on social media, but it is my formal, it's the formal marketing tool that I use for my business. So,
You're just
yeah.
also very smart in a different way than I am. I'm the how can I solve it with what's in front of me? And you're the how can I solve it actually?
Yeah. Yeah. Working in
Yeah.
museum collections, you kind of have to learn budgeting wise, you can't always buy the tools you need. So like how can I work with what I've got to get the solution I need?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I actually love that as a segue into talking about Bookstagram, especially for like indie authors. So, Jacqueline, tell us about like how you started your Bookstagram. Like, why did you get into it?
Yeah, so I started it in 2022 in August, I believe it was. And I started it right before I went on a trip to Paris because I was like, this is the perfect time to start this. Um, and I did it because I don't have a lot of friends or like family members who are big readers like I am. So like I don't have anybody to talk about books with. I can maybe say something to like my dad or my best friend, but they're like, I've never read this book. Like, good that you liked it, but I have no thoughts and feelings on it.
Oh, you're so
So
much
I was
more
like,
polite
well,
about it than I am. Like you stop talking to them about books when they're not interested. I just keep going.
yeah, I've kind of learned to just like, I see they're shooting out. So like, I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just stop talking now. It's fine. Uh, yeah. And so I was like, well, I've been on Instagram. I'd follow a bunch of bookstagrammers and I was like, well, this seems like a fun way to just like try and engage with other readers and stuff like that. And I was like, well, let me just start this and see what happens. And I've been really enjoying just like meeting other people, meeting even people who may be local to me, meeting new authors, meeting indie authors too. Just like it was a way for me to do something that I love and share it with other people.
Awesome.
That's
Um,
yeah.
how has
So
it
you
evolved
started it
since you?
like n not that long before you met us. Wait, no, 2022.
Yeah,
Again,
2022.
with the dates and the time and the
Yeah.
never mind.
Yeah, so
That's
like
an incorrect
three,
statement. Ignore.
2.5 years before I met you guys, I think, roughly.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. Yeah, no, I was like, oh, 2022. I don't know. Never mind. Ignore me.
it's permanently 2006. in Megan's world, so time is an enigma.
No, no, it's like permanently like 2022 in Megan's world. Yeah. It's, I don't know.
Forever teenager.
My I have both the soul of a 5-year-old who believes in magic and a 5,000-year-old witch, so I don't, it depends on the day.
We contain
Yeah.
multitudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Very true.
Anyways,
Very true.
so Jacqueline, you and I met in Scotland with other Megan on this fantastic yoga retreat where we legit saved a baby lamb's life. And then we were talking books and Bookstagram, and you bought my books, and that was cool. So other than random yoga retreats, how do you connect with indie authors or authors in general?
So for that, I've had a couple indie authors actually just like come in my DMs and were like, "Hey, this looks like a book. Wrote a book that looks like you might enjoy. Do you want to read it?" And for the most part, I'll say yes because they are correct. I have gone to a couple of like book conventions. I went to one back in November in Santa Clara. So for those of you who don't know, I am from California. And it was Love and Tech Fest. So it was a romance author convention, and pretty much everybody there was an indie author mostly. And so I connected with a lot of those people as well. Sometimes I'll just read an indie author book and I'll tag them because I really liked it, and then they'll message me. And so that kind of starts to build relationships as well.
Awesome. Yeah,
I found
I
that
love
like
that.
social media has been such a positive influence in the book world. I mean, like you walk into bookstores in real life now and they have the like book talk made me do it or like bookstagram like made me buy it section where it's like all the things that are trending. Since you started your account, Jacqueline, and kind of gotten into this, like how have you seen the social media influence change over time?
I think it's kind of changed pretty greatly, in my opinion.
Mm.
When I started, it it's not that it felt like small, but the community felt smaller, and like you could find, and maybe that was just my algorithm, I don't know, but you saw a lot of people reading a lot of diverse books, a lot of different genres and stuff like that. But now I think with social media, with TikTok and Instagram, you see this explosion of very specific types of books, and mostly they're romantasy, let's be honest about that.
Mhm.
And so I think, which is great, I love romantasy, don't get me wrong. And I think a lot of people get into books by reading romantasy, but I think it does kind of take away a bit from other authors as well in other genres. So whether that's, horror or women's fiction, historical fiction, or even just like indie authors, they don't explode as much.
Mm.
That I think beforehand you kind of again saw more diversity in reading than you do now.
Yeah, romantasy is definitely like, I mean, I do events and people walk up and they're like, "Is it romantasy?" And I'm like, "What?" There's like a chick with a bulletproof vest on my co like, no, no, sorry. What, I don't know what about my cover screams romantasy, but
I
they're
think it's the sprayed
optimistic that it
edges,
might
to be
be.
fair. I think it's the sprayed edges that scream
My sprayed
romantic.
edges are gorgeous.
They
However,
are.
there's a pistol and a bird and a heart and a like there's
See,
like
I think
weapons on here. I don't know.
oh, there yours. Yours is on my bookshelf with the sprayed edges
Of course.
sitting outwards.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Thank
Um,
you.
so so like the influence then, like the people who are the authors or the genres then that are getting like the most attention from like this really powerful marketing tool is it's really narrow. Are you seeing any changes? Like, are you seeing, you know, some accounts beginning to like veer into other directions or other genres, or is it just like an echo chamber? I'm wondering about that.
Um, the ones I follow are pretty good at like reading different genres and stuff like that. But I think the big accounts, right, the ones with like hundreds of thousands of followers, I think it is kind of slightly echo chamberish in that what sells is it's romantasy, it's the A Court of Thorns and Roses, it's the Fourth Wings, it's like all of those. And again,
Mhm.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. And I think a lot of, from my understanding, a lot of readers get back into or get into reading because of these books. And I think that's amazing because I think more people need to read. I think it becomes slight problemish when you don't slowly start to branch out more and try
Mhm.
new things. And I think that's kind of that echo chamber that we're getting right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for indie authors like me, who have a loose grasp of social media to begin with, and Megan's laughing. It was the most polite laugh. I was expecting a stronger reaction, honestly. A loose grasp of social media and maybe don't have a bunch of time to be scrolling and finding people like you, Jacquelyn. How do we get anyone to notice us on social media? Because I feel like, I mean, I can post and post and post. The algorithm change every 3 seconds. And I mean, I have people sliding into my DMs being like, "Ooh, I can offer you this product and service that you never asked for," all the time. And it feels gross and icky and creepy. So I know me and a lot of authors that I know are like, well, I'm not gonna like cold DM them. Because first of all, it goes in that request thing where you don't even see it. And then it's like, I don't know, maybe since I am the author, it's less icky than someone being like, let me market your book for you. You've never heard of me. Um, I don't know. How do you feel about that? How do we fix it? How do we find you? How do we get
Yeah, that
attention?
that is a good question. I don't think it's as creepy as those marketers because I have gotten those as well where I read it and I'm like, clearly you have not looked at my account at all because what
Yeah.
you're saying makes no sense. So as I said, I have had at least 1 to 2 authors who have just like messaged me and been like, "Hey, I wrote this book. Would you like a free digital copy to read and review for me?" Like that would be great. And they've been an indie author. And for the most part, the ones that I did get, it was like, actually, you know what? This does sound fun. Yeah, I'll read your book for you. Like, no problem. And I think the way to kind of go about it is see who your followers are, right? And who's somebody that engages with your account a lot. Like you notice they're liking, they're maybe commenting, maybe they're sharing things. Go to their account and see who's following them. Because clearly the people who follow them like their stuff, like what they're sharing, And maybe kind of just look at some of those accounts and see like, oh, this person, I think this person might actually like my book. Let me see if they might want a free digital copy to try out and see if they like it for, here's a free copy. Please, I would love if you read and reviewed it for me and posted wherever you can. And I think you can slowly start to build by just like engaging with the community. I think that's the biggest thing that I have seen is the more you just even like and comment on other people's posts and stuff like that, the more people you can get to start talking to you, start talking about you because like, hey, this isn't just a person behind a picture or behind a screen, right? Because
Mhm.
I think there's kind of I'm going to say a non oh my god, I can't say it. Never mind. Kind of it's a slightly a bit anonymous, right? In that
Yeah.
we don't see each other face to face. Like I might see a video you posted on your story or something like that, but that's like it might be curated, it might be edited and everything like that. So it's very two-dimensional, right? It's a very two-dimensional relationship. So by engaging and like talking to them, it's like, oh, you're a real human being. You're not just somebody I follow on Instagram or whatever because I thought your content was pretty, so I'm going to follow you. So by engaging, right, you're building a relationship and they're more likely to be like, hey, I've been talking to this person. I've read their books. I love their books. I think all of you should start reading this book as well.
Hmm.
So I have two things, and sitting here. I had to get paper because I went on like so many tangents in my head, and I didn't want to forget the things or interrupt you. Thing that I heard, Jacqueline, and this is funny because it reminded me of the characters in my book when they're like looking for the bad guy and they, put all the pictures up on the bulletin board and they're like tracking the terrorist network and who's friends with who and who's doing what and where does this person hang out. So like track the network, like go down the rabbit hole of this person follows me, they follow these other accounts and like kind of build out the network and then build the relationships. from there because
Yeah.
then you can identify the key people in that network. Now in the Skylark universe, we're tracking them to, for other purposes. And so, but for this, we're tracking them for engagement and marketing and relationship networking building purposes. Um, and then the other thing I heard you say was these authors reach out to you and say, would you like a free digital copy? Now, I've had the experience where people like you, other Bookstagram, Book Talk people, demand that I mail them a physical copy. And for a lot of indie authors, like that's a lot of money to be mailing out physical copies. Because there's a print cost for the author copy and then there's shipping cost. And then maybe this person will read your book and maybe they'll post about it. And I mean, how many people am I supposed to send a physical book to just so that they'll hold it up and be like, "Oh my God, this was great" for 3 seconds. So talk to us about that situation.
Yeah, I think, at least from what I have seen, it's become a slightly more of a problem-ish of people feel like they're entitled to a physical, especially like an arc, right? Like a physical arc of a book. I have exactly one physical arc that I have ever received on my bookshelf. That is the only one I have. And there was that thing at BookCon, apparently, where like people were pushing other people around just to get like a physical arc. And I think that's kind of insane. I think as readers, we should just be grateful that like we're able to get these copies of books, whether it's digital or whether it's physical. And I think as a bookstagrammer, I don't think we should be demanding anything from authors because you're already giving us your creativity, your time, your energy that you put into creating this book. And I think if an author comes in and is like, hey, I can offer you a free digital copy, we definitely shouldn't be like, well, I'll only do it if you send me a free one or a free physical one. Because at the end of the day, you're going to read the book. Like, right? You got the access to the book. You can read the book, whether it's digital or physical. And if you want a physical copy and because you liked it, you should buy the book from the author, especially an indie author. It's a great way to help support them. So I think if you were to like go into somebody's DMs and be like, "Hey, I saw your account. I saw the types of books you read. I think you might enjoy my book. Would you love a like a free digital copy of my book and I to rate and review it?" And if they say, "Oh, I only do it for physical, so like you have to send me a physical one," I would be like, oh, "Okay, well, thank you for that. Unfortunately, at this time, I can't do that because of costs and everything." And if that's the only case, then I think, this isn't going to work out basically. So thank you for your time,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. And I actually had built this great relationship with someone, and she was like, "Well, I'll only do it for a physical copy." And turns out she lives in Australia. I'm like, I'm not going to spend $50 mailing you my book so that you can post a 6-second reel about it. Like, I don't care how many followers you have.
Yeah,
That's
that's wild.
wild.
Yeah,
And like,
no, that,
I was super sweet about it, but like, what?
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, and the entitlement is definitely getting out of control. And authors talk about this behind y'all's back all the time, and we keep notes. Because
But
it's
I
like,
mean,
well, this person, yeah,
yeah.
because it's just
But like,
rude.
I'd love to interject here though and kind of like offer a different perspective, right? Because like,
Yes.
at the end of the day, both sides, y'all are both business owners, right? Like, even if you're doing like a bookstagram or book talk, like for funsies as a hobby, like that's something that you could incorporate a business. Then you can write off all the books that you buy. You could write off the conventions you go to, like you can kind of get some of the
You
tax
can
benefits
write
there.
off the books that you buy
Yeah. No,
is
I
the
understand
thing,
that. You can write off the books
versus
that you
I'm
buy.
entitled to a free book from an indie author.
I understand that. Let me get my point here, which
Okay.
is not entitled to a free book, but some people, some content creators are so influential, and I'm talking about like the 30, 40, 100,000 followers, 500,000 followers, right? That whatever they endorse is going to sell. It's kind of like the Shark Tankification of books. And
Yeah.
if that's the case, then it becomes a marketing spend. Now, obviously, if you've got like a micro influencer or a micro producer, like that's different. They don't have the marketing mechanism necessarily to charge rates. But I do believe that when you get to the people who are doing this full time or even part time, but have a large following, there is value in paying them to advertise your book because that's essentially what you're doing. It's the same as buying like a meta ad.
Yes.
Yeah.
However, this is being done by Bookstagram people who have like 1,500 followers.
But 1,500 is still
Because
pretty big. I mean, like imagine an auditorium of
500,
1,500. Yeah.
250. I've had people even reach out to me and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
send me a physical copy of your book and I'll put it on my social media." And they have like the same number of followers as me. And I'm like,
Hmm.
it's just
Yeah.
that if you see someone with 100,000 followers getting a physical copy, if you're just starting out, that doesn't mean that you also get a free physical
Yeah.
copy necessarily. It's not the idea of putting money into it as a marketing expense. It's more the attitude
Mm.
of entitlement, like Jacquelyn was saying, that like, well, I have to have a physical copy and you have to give it to me or else I
Hmm.
won't even speak to you.
Mm.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
that's
think you're right, Megan, I say that, about like depending on, the follower account, right, too. But I think when it comes to like indie authors, that can be a bit harder going to the like higher, like big
Mhm.
following, like the 50,000, the
Yeah,
100,000 people, because they
they don't want
already
to talk to
get,
us.
well, they already get so much like book mail. Like I see these
Yeah.
people and they're like, look at my book mail haul. And I'm just like, that is so many books. And like, I know there are some people who can either like they read pretty fast, they do the audiobooks or whatever. And so like they can crank through books pretty easily. But I look at that and I'm like, how are you ever going to get to all of them? And then you have an indie author who may come in and be like, hey, I think you might like my book. And it's like, well, I have an account of 100,000 people. Great. But I've already got like 50 plus books ahead of you. So who knows when you're going to get to that book?
If
So
Yeah.
like,
ever.
it's very much a pluses and minuses, right? Of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean, and I
absolutely.
think that's probably why, it's kind of at that point you're monetizing, right? Like if you're receiving multiple more books than you can get through, the ones that float to the top have to have some sort of incentive behind them, like from a business point of view, because you're as someone who's reading and like you do, it's your time as well, right? So like, and it's your time putting
Mhm.
together the content, it's your time putting together like a thoughtful review, but it's a lot of time that's going into it, especially if you're doing this full time or like, you know, part time seriously with the intention of going full time with it. Like there is some compensation there as well.
Mhm.
But I think that Jacquelyn, you said something that stuck with me that was a really good point, which is also like investing into the community and not just like spending like your time investing kind of freely into the community by like engaging, commenting, sharing, but also supporting the community. So like if you're having a book talk or a bookstagram and that does work with indie authors, actually acknowledging that community by buying their books. If
Mhm.
you get a free digital copy, like, hey, I like this one, I actually want it on my shelf. And that can
Would you
go a long way
appreciate
too.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me get
And
my
I
Yeah.
think that's kind
$4
of
from
right.
Amazon.
That's kind of right. The goal of, I think, again, I'm not an author or anything, but like if you're sending somebody a free digital copy because you're like, oh, I think you like my book, please read it. The goal is not just to get them to be like, hey, everyone, I love this book, but to be like, I love this book so much. I needed a shelf trophy, basically,
Hmm.
right? Because you have a digital copy. So, like, you already own a copy, but like, I need to put something on my shelf to remember it and make it look pretty. And of course, Megan's books do look very pretty with their sprayed edges. So,
Mhm.
It helps. It
Yeah.
does. It does. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it gets to be it's complex, this Bookstagram stuff. It's really
Very
complex.
complex.
Yeah.
And I think it's really overwhelming for a lot of, especially indie authors. It's just, how do you even find these people? How do you approach them? Are they going to notice me? What if they read the book and they hate it and they say something bad about my book? Like, how do you handle that, Jacquelyn? Have you ever read a book that you just hated? Or like
Where it
bad
was
reviews?
Yes.
difficult to
What
find something nice to
ready
say.
bad books, ready, set,
Yes.
go, Jacquelyn.
Yeah. Yes. I won't say the title. You can find it on my Bookstagram, like on my Instagram. You can probably figure out what book I'm talking about. But I got an arc through NetGalley for this book. I was very excited about it. And then I read it and I was like, I don't understand what the point of this book was. Like nothing in your summary, like in your synopsis, seems to have really happened. And it happened like way fast. It was a lot of like explain, or it wasn't even really explaining. It was just like all of a sudden this was happening, but then all of a sudden this happened, and you're like, wait, how did we get from point A to point B? And like because it was an advanced copy, I was honest in my review, but I definitely didn't tag the author. I tagged who I had to, which was NetGalley and the publisher, right? Because they kind of say like, hey, please tag us for
Mhm.
this, which is fine. But I never tagged the author. I, I would never never tell an author, especially through, Instagram or something like that, that I didn't like their book. If I felt the need to, I might just be like, privately message them and be like, hey, you know what? I thought this book was for me. Turns out it wasn't. And unless it was like super egregious of like, you need to go back to your like world building and like maybe revisit, I wouldn't really say anything bad to them about it. Just be like, because sometimes books are just not for you. And that is 100%
Mhm.
okay. Sometimes you think a
Yeah.
book might be for you. I've read a few that I'm like, this is 100% for me, and read it and been like, oh, actually, no, this wasn't. And that's not the author's fault. But I think there is a tactful way to give like a criticism to an author if you need to. But if you don't need to, I think just saying this book wasn't for me is a completely valid reason.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, I've seen it happen. I mean, I spend most of my time on Threads because it's just a medium I'm more comfortable with. Um, and a lot of times people will be like, "Oh my God, this book was terrible," and then it lists like all this smutty, like kinky, whatever it is. They're like, "Oh my God, this was terrible. I hate it." And then you have in the comments, everyone's like, "Oh, I need that book." So
Yeah,
sometimes, like by even saying a book's not for you, you're also helping that author to find who it is for. Because by saying, "Oh, I was completely horrified that this happened," someone else is like, "Yes, that's what I've been looking for." So, and I know, Megan, you're always saying, "Don't yuck someone else's yum." And I mean, I think that's kind of what this is like by saying, "I didn't like this for XYZ reasons." Those might be the exact reasons why someone else would love it. Someone's trash is someone else's treasure. Um, and I was talking to
exactly.
Yeah, I was talking to a 14-year-old at this event last weekend, and she's an aspiring author. She's 14. She wanted to buy my book, and she's like, "But however, I am a very young child." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't think canceling this." Um, and she said, like, she asked me, "How do you handle when someone doesn't like your book?" Or if they say something bad about it because they didn't like it. And I say, that's okay. They don't have to like it because there's so many people in the world and there's so many books. And all you can do as a writer, as an author, is to write, the stories that feel right to you. And then hope that the right people find them and pick them up. And not everyone is your target audience and not everyone is gonna love it. And that's okay because they're going to go find the books that they do love and the authors that they do love and the people who love you are going to find you, and that's sometimes by giving negative reviews we help each other do that.
Yeah.
i have
Yeah,
I have found
exactly.
some really interesting books by people being like, "Oh my God," and I'm like, "That sounds delightful." That is like oh, there's a praise kink, give me that book. Um, Whereas someone else is going to be like, what on earth? Why did they put this in here? The same as like if someone's saying, oh, there's the accidental pregnancy, whatever. I'm like, oh, no, don't need that. Like, come on, no, I don't need that. That's not for me. But other people love it for whatever
Yeah.
reason. They
Yeah.
love
Mhm.
it that I can't relate to. So,
A perfect example of this, like for me personally, was The Butcher and the Blackbird,
mhm.
that book. And I was like, two serial killers falling in love? Okay, yeah, that's for me because if anybody knows me, I listen to a lot of true crime. I watch Investigation Discovery like all the time. I've, you know, read all like the nonfiction books by John Douglas, who was an FBI profiler. So that's my thing. I was like, this sounds like
Mhm.
perfect for me. And I read it and I was like, okay, no, this was not for me. And that is okay.
Yeah.
Like I didn't particularly like it. I don't even know if I gave it I must have given it a review and just been like, you know what? Maybe like 3 stars, not for me, but like these are the reasons again, like you said, these are the reasons that it's not for me, but I'm sure somebody out there and it's a very popular book series, so like
Yeah.
obviously people love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's also how we learn things about ourselves, of our own boundaries and what we like and don't like. And, that's all actually psychologists chiming in here. That's actually why romance novels are so good for sexual assault victims, because it helps you re-experience and relearn and figure out what you do like and what can be pleasurable. And it actually can be very healing for that sort of trauma.
That
I'll get
makes
off my
sense.
soapbox now. But
Well, the
I
neuroscience side of that's actually really interesting because your brain doesn't know the difference between a lived experience and an imagined experience. If the visualization is really
Oh.
vivid. And so
Hmm.
if you're reading, you're creating the story in your head.
Yeah.
That can be a way for you to experience something that you haven't maybe experienced like IRL, but your brain doesn't know the difference. And so you're like kind of forging new neural pathways.
Yes.
I don't know what
Yeah.
that says about all of the true the true crime though, which I've been on a true crime
Excuse
like
me. True
Netflix kick
crime
right now,
is
and so I
just
kind of want
study.
like the minute you
mm,
said that, I was like, can we talk about worst
Women,
ex ever?
no, but women watch true crime because we are studying for worst case scenario to know, how do I charm the kidnapper to get out of this? How do I escape out of zip ties? We are learning from other people's horrific experiences so that we can keep ourselves safe. That's why we love true crime, in my opinion. I have nothing to back that
Yes.
up other than those
And
are
I'll
the
jump off of
conclusions I
that.
draw.
For me, I find the human brain kind of fascinating. So, like, for me, that true crime side of it is really like, why do they do this? So, like,
Hmm.
serial killers are
Mhm.
fascinating in that aspect, right? Because they continue to do these crimes. So, again, John Douglas was one of the founders of the FBI's profiler unit. So, I read like 5 of his books because I find one, his writing compelling, but two, the way he talks about it and kind of you learn why people might do these things.
Yeah.
So,
I wonder
but
if
I
that's
do
why
want to go
we.
back.
Oh, so yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I wanted to go back to what Megan you were saying at your book about the 14-year-old that came up to your
Yeah.
table because it made me think and laugh because she said like I'm a young kid for this book. Um, I was given my first romance at like 12 from my grandmother.
I mean, if her mom had come over and
It
we'd
was
discussed it, I would have let her. I mean, I've sold my
yeah,
book to teenagers before,
it
but
was
she's just there standing with her like
yeah,
7-year-old sister talking to me, and I was like, I there's no adult. Like I can't ask this.
yeah. But it
And
was
if she
just
even
I love
is
her
saying,
self-awareness.
what's your book about? Also, I'm a young child. Because
I
looking
love
at her,
her
I didn't know she was
self-awareness
14. I didn't know
too.
she was 16. No, she really was. She was adorable. Yeah,
That like
we talked
I
writing
love
for a
that
very long time.
self-awareness.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
loved the self-awareness she had of like she saw your book, was like, this kind of looks interesting, but like, is it for me? Is it for my age?
No, oh
I
my
just loved
gosh.
it. It was that's so cute.
Even cuter though, last night, my friend's son, he's in middle school. He was asking me about my books and saying like, "Oh, can I read your book?" And I said, I don't. And his mom is like, she's read them. She's a really good friend of mine. And she's like, shaking her head. I'm like, no, I think adult things in it. And he looks at me and he's like, adult how? Like, what do you mean by like grown up stuff? And he kind of cocks his head to the side. He's like, do you mean like grown up stuff, like in that really traumatic fifth grade family life kind of way? And I said, yes, dear, that's exactly what I
Oh my God, that's so funny. Oh, I love it.
so funny. Yeah. No, it was delightful. He's hilarious. So yes, me bonding with children. Odd
But
things.
the kids, they've got to
But
ask because like young
I
adult
mean,
went so
yeah,
smutty. It went so smutty in the last couple
I
of years. And I feel like
know.
it's beginning to
I
like kind of swing back again. But like there was a time there where it was like, oh, I'm reading this young adult and it's like you're like, oh, like how young
yeah.
is this a like
Well, and
like how
not all
young adult is
14-year-olds are
this?
this. I mean, 14's not 14. That's a broad spectrum, but if
Hmm.
I mean, I'll sell my books to 16-year-olds without a parent there, but 14, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
won't go on a
Yeah.
I don't
full
know.
diatribe of this, but I do have this like slight problem with calling it a young adult genre because they seem to say like young adult is like what, 13, 14 to 18. And I'm like, that is so broad that like a 13-year-old isn't necessarily reading what an
So
18-year-old
broad.
is reading, right? Like some might, like I
I
did,
mean,
but
I don't know. Some of them are.
so I was, let me be clear,
I think
I
it's
was
just
one of
anything
those.
that's like not a chapter book, you know?
Yeah. And I don't know if any of you remember this, but I used to shop at Borders when Borders was open, and
Yes.
it wasn't called young adult, it was called teen, like the
Yeah.
Hmm.
teen section. And I feel
Yeah.
like that, and I still even have some of those
I like
books
that
from the
better.
teen section. Yeah, right.
Yes.
Because to me, this is just my personal opinion, young adult to me is somebody like 18 to 22. Like they're
Yep.
an adult, but they're on the young side, right? Like young
Yep.
adult. Like teen, you can go up to 18, but like teen to me was hitting that sweet spot of like 14, 15, 16. So,
Yeah. Where it was kind of
Yeah.
shorter. It had a plot. It wasn't smutty.
or even if there was anything, it was very much like a
Well, it
fade to
was it
black
was like
situation.
closed door. Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't
Yeah.
Implied, not
Yeah.
described. Yeah.
it
Hmm.
wasn't
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. It wasn't that. Um, like a good example, actually, where do I have it? This is from, I think, 2006 or so when I got it. So, like, when I was in junior high, but like the Mediator series by Meg Cabot,
Oh my God,
right?
I love
This
Meg
is what,
Cabot.
right?
Yes.
This is what I would call a teen book. Like, it's a teenager.
Hmm.
She's a 16-year-old girl who can see ghosts,
Yeah,
by the way, and she falls for a ghost.
of course.
But like, there's like kissing and stuff like that. But like, in a later book,
Yeah.
there might be ghosting, but it's like barely even described. So like this is a teen book that I would give this to a 14-year-old,
Mhm.
be like, here, have
Yeah,
fun, go hog wild, read
absolutely.
this. But like
Absolutely.
anything that's young adult now feels more like something for
I mean,
17 plus.
like Throne of Glass is technically YA, however you want to define YA, and that's why it's like such a
Oh.
silly.
Huh.
Yeah, Sarah J.
Yeah.
Maas was like originally supposed to be YA, but then it's kind of smutty, and so I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah. It gets
Bookstagram.
increasingly more and more adult. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, like Throne of Glass, like standalone, I'm like, yeah, that could be YA, except like, it's a bit bloody, it's a
Mhm.
bit gory, but like, what
But so
isn't
are
nowadays?
PG-13 movies.
Yeah.
So's the
Yeah.
news.
And I could see too, like the first book coming out, right? Like one book series I loved was the Song of the Lioness quartet by Tamora Pierce. And I think, the idea was you read the first book at like 13 or whatever, but as you slowly grow, the characters
Hmm.
also grow with you, right? So like I
Yeah.
could see with like Throne of
Hmm.
Glass when
Yeah.
it first came out, that first, book or whatever being like, oh yeah, this is totally YA. And then
Hmm.
as readers grew, it got more older and
Exactly.
but it's been published
As
for a
did the
while, so now
author.
you can get yeah, and now you
Oh
can get all
God.
the books in one go and just like binge it. And so like you
Now
don't
we've got
grow
12-year-olds
anymore.
reading.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So
Which,
it's yeah, it's
yeah,
very weird.
it is. Books are a strange place, but that's
Hmm.
Mhm.
okay. We love them. Um, Okay. What else can we say about Bookstagram, Jacqueline? What would you say are like the most important things for authors to know or do or say or
Oh, I mean, I would say definitely definitely be authentic to you, right? Don't try to put up a farce of something because then it becomes disingenuous. So we want, at least I do, I want my authors when I look at their content to feel kind of like I could be your friend, right? I'm not going to go to the extreme of like, oh my God, I am your friend. But like, I can watch your stuff and be like, oh yeah, if I met you in real life, I could have a conversation with you and this would be really fun. And I think you'd be a fun person. So I think like genuine content,
yeah.
I think being a bit silly too, being silly is kind of fun. And I like those, I see some authors do like day in a life of writing or a day in my life kind of deal. And I think those are kind of fun because it gives us a little sneak peek into your life. And like, you know, it's everybody's different, right? Everybody does things differently. So like, one person might, I don't know, I light a candle before I write and it's the same candle every time. And another person's like, I don't know, I'm kind of like a raccoon. I just like hoard snacks next to me while I write and just like, right, like it could be anything. And that's kind
Yeah.
of fun to see your personality. I want to see your personality in the things you post because it makes you
Yes.
more of a person.
Yeah, it builds trust. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's good
Exactly.
advice. And I think, I mean, a lot of authors that I've met, because I meet them at events, and I know Megan and I have talked about this on another episode, but when I do events, I'm oftentimes the resident extrovert. Like a lot of authors are really introverted and putting their face out there, putting their like themselves. I mean, a lot of us wrote fictional characters for a reason. We like I would rather live in my fictional world that I created. That would be cool. But I don't. I have to actually unfortunately engage with the real world. And sometimes that's really uncomfortable for me. And I mean, I am a very extroverted person, but putting myself out there behind my books and saying, "Hi guys, this is my subconscious on a page." That's so ter like that's so scary. That's one of the most vulnerable things I've ever done because this is like my deepest, darkest secrets almost. Um, and so I would imagine for someone a lot more introverted than me, like how scary is that to put yourself out there and be real and be vulnerable and be silly. I don't think you're going to see silliness so much on my Instagram. It's mostly like me being like, oh my God, this weird thing happened. And let me go on a rant about it for 30 seconds. Because their Megan keeps telling me that I no one wants to listen to me on Instagram for longer than I don't know. What do you keep telling me? 6 or 7 seconds?
Instagram doesn't want you to talk for more than like a minute. And it will not push out anything to non-followers that's over 3 minutes. And I know this because when I do mini practices, like my sound bath practices on my Instagram, I keep them under 3 minutes so that I can trial reel it for the first 24 hours. So like, and that pushes it to non-followers. Yeah,
Yeah,
Good to
and
know. Good to know.
yeah.
I I
I took a
just
social
thought
media class.
incessantly.
I had to. I was
Yes.
like, okay, if this is going to be my life, then like, I need to know how to actually do this stuff.
I mean, most of my reels are me like in my car or laying on the beach being like I had this random thought or like, hey guys, I'm going inside to get tacos. Here's some depressing shit I was thinking about today. Now I'm gonna go inside and get tacos. That was a real thing I did. Okay, but I think that's really good advice is just as hard as it is, just try to be yourself.
Yeah,
And
that is hard advice. Let me be clear on that. And I am still even learning, right? Like when I started, if you go to like the very first post and everything, nothing has my face in it. Nothing has my
mhm.
face because I was like, I don't I don't think I'm pretty enough. Why would I put myself on social media? I don't know what I'm doing with this. Like it's about books, so shouldn't it be about books? But I slowly, as you gain more confidence, you'll start posting more different things, be more relaxed and stuff like that. And piece of advice if you want to try to do like three different takes of the same thing because I was making videos at work for something, and I did it like 3 or 4 times because when I first would do the first video, I was very stilted because I was reading a script, right? So like I was just like reading it, and my coworker was like, "Okay, try it again, and maybe just like relax a little bit, like just let it flow from you." So like definitely don't be afraid to just try it a couple times because the more you do it, right, the more relaxed you'll be doing it.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
And then I think
Or
also
practice
like
makes
post
better.
practice makes better.
Because
I like
right,
that.
perfection is a silly thing to try and get to, but so like practice makes you better. Makes better.
Hmm.
I mean, it makes you more comfortable the more often
Mm,
you do it. Um,
yeah.
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 Yeah, because
The
I know
confidence comes
starting
from the
out,
doing.
it sure does. And starting out, I was like, well, I can't film myself doing anything. I have to go do my hair. I have to put on like full makeup. I have to be like camera ready. Now, this might be some back end, training because I did used to be a model and such things. So, I mean, I understand how to be on television in HD, like doing news segments and doing things like that because I've done it before. And so for me, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to be like fully camera ready. Everything has to be great. I have to like clean my whole house and it just got to be this whole day production to make a 30-second clip and I was absolutely exhausted. Um, and then nobody even watched it anyways. So what was the point? But as you're saying, be more authentic. Like I don't wear full makeup every day. This is me. This is what I look like. And I think just like having the confidence to to try it. And the really weird thing, and I know Megan, you're gonna have neuroscience-y spiritual reasoning for why this works, but like the more authentic I am in my videos, the more I'm relaxed and just being myself of like driving in the car and being like, oh my gosh, I'm driving to this book event and I just thought of this really great plot point. Need to remember to write this down. Whatever it is that's just me being my weird self, the more people engage with that content. When I'm being like full makeup and like production value and really thinking about what I'm saying, no one watches it. But when I'm just like on the beach and saying, oh, hey, so I thought of this cool thing for a book, all over the place, getting likes and getting engagement.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's the
And
energy side of it because like people,
yeah,
your energy comes through whatever you make, like the content that you make or the conversations that you have. And like having a script to start out, like I know people who like script like the first couple of lines because in social media marketing, not that I'm an expert, but like hooks matter, so like the first like 2 or 3 seconds, like they matter. So I know people who will script like the first couple lines and then they flow from there because
yeah.
it's like, okay, well, they crafted the hook,
Hmm.
really diligently, and then they're going to, see where it takes them from there.
Yeah.
And I guess that could be probably similar to writing, right? Where it's like maybe you craft your opening line or, the next chapter's opening line, but then you kind of know where you want it to go. And at least before editing, you let it
Yeah.
flow.
And then editors tell us otherwise.
And then editors give you
Yeah.
60 pages of feedback.
God, real thing, true story. So, but I think what I'm saying is like if you can take that risk and be brave and be, vulnerable that one time and make that probably really shitty, uncomfortable, this is me in my truest form, real and post it. And then you're going to get all this engagement on it because you are being your authentic self. That's going to then reinforce, that gives you positive reinforcement for it's okay to be me. And then in turn, you're going to get more comfortable and you're going to get more engagement and you're going to get more comfortable. You see this like,
Mhm.
right, which is
Yeah.
cool. And then
Yeah.
maybe bookstagrammers like Jacquelyn will notice me and want to be my friend and say nice things about my books,
Exactly.
or
Exactly.
explain all the horrific details of my books and why it wasn't for them, so that might correct. audience can find me and say, "Oh, that chick sounds kind of screwed up. Let me read her books." I think we're screwed up in the same way because that's also a thing. And I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I will say,
Trying.
if you're gonna
It's real.
like read Megan's book and you decide it wasn't for you, make sure the things that you're saying wasn't for you isn't because like she had a typo on page 10, right? Like something stupid. Make sure it's like, oh, she had this trope, it's not for me, right? Like
Yeah.
make sure it's stuff that like as a reader I can read it and be like, oh yeah, no, I like this in my types of books, right? It's not just like stupid stuff that is
Not her
unhelpful.
insistence on using the Oxford comma offended me because I do, because it's correct grammar.
I love you for that. Thank you. I will defend the
And M
Oxford
dashes
comma.
are not a sign of AI.
I will also defend the
God,
Oxford comma. So we
it's
are
just
we
correct
are all Oxford
grammar.
comma supporters around here. I will
Yes.
also use it.
Yes.
I use an M dash. I love an M
I
dash
also
when
use
I'm
M
writing.
dashes.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
know you're like breaking off the train of thought or the dialogue without an M dash? Okay, it speaks to pacing. But this is also from someone who writes in cursive. So I mean, what do I know? But
Yeah.
cool. All right.
Amazing. Well, Jacqueline, any final words, which I feel is like very on brand for the serial killer and true crime side of
Yes.
you. Any final words?
uh yes, like for any indie authors who are listening, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. You might get some no's and that's okay, but you might get some yeses. And if you look at my page and you think she might like my book, you're more than welcome to message me on Instagram.
What is your
Yeah, and
page?
we'll
Oh
include
yes.
a link to your Instagram in the show notes so
Yeah, but
everyone
also
can
Yes.
can you
follow you.
just say it out loud so people can hear
Yes,
Yes.
us?
that too.
My Instagram is Jacquelyn's Bookshelf, and it's spelled JACQUELYNS and then bookshelf. And that's on Instagram, Threads. I have a TikTok. I'm not very good at using it, but it is also there. And I also have a Substack called Confessions of a Cozy Reader, which I'm hoping to get back into here shortly because I lost my inspiration for a while. So,
It
but
happens.
that's where you can find me.
Love it.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being
Well,
our
Yes.
first guest. It was great
Yes, thank you
having
for
you.
having me.
yeah, no, we'll have you more. Don't
Yeah. So,
worry.
yeah,
This
everyone,
is the start
thank
of a
you.
beautiful friendship, dear. Even though it started like a year ago.
Yes.
Yes.
All
But
right,
thank you
Michelle.
everyone for tuning
Had
in
to throw in my
today.
Casablanca
And
reference. It was too easy.
thank you everyone for tuning in today. Be sure to like, follow, comment, let us know what you'd like to see more of, and we will see you on the next episode.
Hi.
Bye.
Bye.